Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Real Estate with Ryan. So excited to be with you on a Saturday talking our favorite topic, real estate. It's a great time to buy or sell real estate here in East Tennessee. And we've got a great show for you. Thank you for tuning in. We're talking about from boom to balance, how the East Tennessee housing market is shifting. So what buyers, sellers, and investors need to know. We're going to talk about that and so much more. We'll talk about the second half, if your home's on the market, what we can do to increase showings and gain some more activity. As you know, the rates have just came out and hit the lowest that we've seen in almost 3 years. Kind of go over our Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac rates here, kind of rate check. Let's see, U.S. Mortgage Market Survey as of the 23rd is 6.19. So average 30-year fixed mortgage, 6.19, 15-year fixed, 5.44. Now, that's down almost 1.08 from 1 week ago, and then the 30-year is down again 0.08 from 1 week ago. So we're watching rates hit an all-time low, which is a great opportunity for buyers to jump back in the housing market, looking at refinances, a lot of different opportunities in the housing market, so the rates lower are definitely helping. Question is it too late? Is it that time of the season? So much going on. So we'll talk about that as always. Before we get going, we always got some congrats, new listings I'd like to get going. And before I start, always, a little family stuff here. It's my daughter's birthday. So I'd like to give her a special shout out for my daughter. Happy birthday, young girl. She's turning 11 and Daddy's girl. And Daddy, she was saying today, don't get emotional, Daddy. She was like my baby girl. And that's what I do. I mean, it's I don't know if you dads do that, but watching your baby get bigger, and so it's a special day here in the Coleman house. So happy birthday to my beautiful daughter. Hope you have a special day. We're going to enjoy celebrating you. And always, let's get some congrats going. New listings, 3708 Tilda Hilltop Way in Sevierville, brand new cabin there, and 1132 Andatesia Way in Gatlinburg. Congrats to 2101 Redbud Road coming on the market here in just a few weeks, so make sure you check that property out. Hardin Valley listing, 1062 Bell Pond Avenue. That'll be on the market next week. Then, of course, downtown Knoxville, Regas Condo, another unit there, 219 333 West Depot Avenue. Make sure you check that property out. Beautiful views on that property. 725 Highway 25 in White Pond. Beautiful property with some acreage, 3-car garage. Make sure you check that property. That'll be on next week as well. And 1013 Oak Avenue in Knoxville on the market here in just a couple weeks. So pending Burning Circle under contract. Congrats to those guys. No big game today versus those Wildcats. Kentucky will be later on this evening. So rooting on our Vols this evening to hopefully get a big win, get back on track. Next home game, we'll talk more about that, but make sure you like, share, and subscribe our social channels. We're giving away 2 sets of tickets to the home game, hopefully a night game in Neyland Stadium. So that's what we got going on. And if you're tuning in for the first time, you can watch Real Estate with Ryan every Saturday. You can catch our partners over at News Talk 98.7 at 1 o'clock. We're there every Saturday at 1 o'clock. And then, of course, our other partners at Talk Radio, 92.3 FM at 11 a.m. Also catch us streaming on their Facebook channel live in case you had a chance to, maybe you're busy, ball game or something, maybe catch a replay with Real Estate with Ryan. And, of course, all the social channels, platforms, you can catch Real Estate with Ryan. Let's talk about the housing market. Inventory in East Tennessee obviously is rising a little bit. 30% increase year over year since 2024. So we're seeing that inventory is up dramatically. Sales volumes are flattening and dropping prices slightly in some counties, while the pace of price is appreciated then slowed. So in our region, it's historically a strong seller's market, particularly in the Knoxville metro area, and not transitioning to a more, we're now transitioning more to a more balanced market, giving buyers more leverage. But I think really we're seeing that across the country, not just in our market. We're fairly modest in the Knoxville housing market compared to some counties across the U.S., particularly since the pandemic. the relocations and a large amount of out-of-state buyers and transfers to our area has grown Knoxville to one of the most in-demand areas in the country. So if you're thinking about, price wars, and remember the days where we're getting houses were flying off the shelf in East Tennessee, buyers are starting to get a little more breathing room. Now we're seeing opportunities in the market. And what does it mean for you if you're buying or selling in the housing market? We're in a mixed opportunity as we go into the fall kind of season. Winter season will be right around the corner. But we have that opportunity we talked last week about. Now is an opportunity for buyers to get back into the, with the rate softening, back into the driver's seat. Not all the way driver's seat, but there's more negotiation, which is a great opportunity to see. Buyers now have more choices. Homes in the fall, we're seeing opportunities that sellers are putting properties on the market for a variety of reasons. The fall is one of our busiest time of the years. I was talking to great clients the other day and said the fall usually is extremely busy. Combination of all the things going on, sports, athletic department, things like that. Leaves changing. Smokies has, I can't even remember the number, 4 million plus. Don't even quote me on that exact number. 4 million plus, though, will be coming this fall to the Smokies. Last week we have some short-term rentals, and you can see that between October 10th and through probably the 25th is an extreme busy time. We talked a couple weeks ago, one of the best times and opportunities to sell other than the spring market. The second spring market, is at October 12th through the 18th. So we saw that opportunity. Are we seeing that in the sales? Probably not, or at least it seems somewhat sluggish. But now that rates are almost under 6%, which is kind of hard to believe. We go back several months ago, we were high sixes. Now we're under 6% almost. And in the 15 years, 5.5%. Opportunities with the Fed's meeting in just a couple days, more than likely that those interest rates will get another quarter point. Market may have some build into that, but that's something just to think about. Buyers now are putting themselves in a position where if you were going to possibly purchase, it's the time to do that. Still, prices are holding steady. I still see that the affordability, probably number one factor that we're facing in the East Tennessee housing market is affordability. But you're looking at the rates now. Average $400,000 house, rates from 6.7, possibly almost 7, down to 6, some maybe 5.75. Where does that put us? That's substantial savings, guys. It could be as much as $300 to $400 in your housing payment a month. And that makes a difference. That starts moving the needles and opportunities there. For sellers in the housing market, some ideas of where we're at. Obviously, I think one of the biggest things that we talk about in the housing market is that the market is the market. The market is where the market is. And right now, it's a market where I think there's probably some uncertainty with the housing market, right? As buyers or sellers, a lot of the, of course, the government shutdown, things like that, where is the interest rates going to go? And I think for the last couple of years, we've seen that the interest rates, we've watched that. It's a constant show. Every quarter, the Feds are meeting and they're going to have conversations and they're going to do something. But I think affordability and cost as a whole across the East Tennessee housing market has now weighed in the housing market with longer days in the market. So opportunities now, as sellers, have to realize that today's market, if we're going to move product, if we're going to move our home and get it sold, got a great lady I'm meeting this weekend, and we're going to talk about that. She's moving closer to her family in Florida, and we have a great opportunity to get her there. But today's market, as we move in, pricing is so important. In a different housing market, you want to list the property and maybe have some wiggle room, but now we're going to urge sellers to have an opportunity to really look at that pricing. Really look at the condition of your home. I think that's one of the things that I would say sellers, take an opportunity, look at your condition. Now more than ever, we're going to see buyers really be picky on home inspections, making sure that your home is able to pass those inspections. The big dollar items could be, if they're not taken care of, if there's issues on the inspection, that could blow the deal. That could put you back several weeks on the market, so we don't want to do that. How about investors? We don't talk enough about investors in the market. Investors now, there's a big growth surge that may be moderating The flippers, I call them, the house flippers, you don't see as much as those coming in the market because of the volatility of the market right now. But how much opportunity is there to purchase in the East Tennessee housing market as an investor and hold and for great rental growth? I think some of our rentals are steady, being consistent across the area. What's the local market doing? And we'll talk a little bit about that. What's going on in the area as far as new construction, townhomes, certain things like that. We'll be right back on the second half with Real Estate with Ryan.
When speed matters, every second counts.
Wow, that was fast.
In real estate, speed is an advantage.
In football, speed is crucial.
In softball, speed is game-changing.
If you want your home sold fast,
Trust Ryan Coleman and his team at Hometown Realty for fast results.
Thanks, guys. Go Big Orange.
Hometown Realty is East Tennessee's #1 real estate group and a proud sponsor of the Vols.
I'm Ryan Coleman with Hometown Realty. The real estate market's changing every day. You need to know your home's value in today's market. Text your home address to 290-2290 for an instant, no obligation home evaluation. That's 865-290-2290. And remember, when you're ready to sell, we have a guaranteed sale program to get you in your next home stress-free. Trust your hometown experts. We've helped thousands of people just like you. All right, we're back at it, second half Real Estate with Ryan. Thank you for coming back and listening to our show. And as we're talking about the real estate market, we're going from boom to bust. No, we're not going boom to bust. We're going from a market that was a boom to more of a moderation, more of a slower market, sitting on things on the market for a little bit longer, homesteading, having a little opportunity for buyers to actually take a tour, right? Look at the homes, and then investors actually having opportunities in the housing market. So obviously an inventory is increasing. That being said, I always tell everybody, keep in mind with our business, and of course our team knows that. And if you've been in the real estate market for a while, my colleagues know that the housing market comes in cycles and it comes in spurts. And so just what is today or a week or two today could be something totally different in weeks. And so we just saw the interest rates lower. And keep in mind that the housing market is not like the stock market. The housing market is it takes some time. It's a cycle. Usually what you'll see a stock market, the ticker would go and change daily. And then the housing market just doesn't work like that. It would take 4 to 6 months to see what happened previously, especially to start seeing that in sales and pendings and things like that. So the market lags a little bit in the housing market. And so that's one of the biggest things that I would encourage, that if you're selling in the market today or purchasing, or you're thinking about getting some investment property or adding to your portfolio, the most important thing in the housing market is to have a great agent in your corner. And it's a team that's working with you. It's teamwork. And we do this show to have fun, tell you a little bit about us, and obviously give you a little flavor of what we do and, of course, what our team does. Been doing this almost 9 years. And so if we can help you any way in the housing market, over 26 years experience, we'd love to do that. It's not about sales to us. It's not about, dollars and cents. It's about helping you guys and trying to make sometimes one of the biggest moves you're ever going to make, or one of the hardest moves you're going to make. And so being there to help you in that process and do it with class and do it effectively and efficiently when money's on the line, because right now some of the costs have never been more important. And so our team does that to the best. And so if we can help you anyway, we're always a phone call away. Let's get our 60-second vol update. As always, we got a little bit of news here. Let's see. We got our vol update. All right, 60-second vol update. Drum roll, please. All right, it's been a tough day, tough week. Vol Nation, losing our baseball coach, Tony V, has officially went to the Giants. He's going to be the coach over there and lead that team. And that's kind of hard for Vol Nation to kind of stomach. There were several days it went back and forth. I know you guys already have seen all this. And we're hoping he was going to stay, but he is moving on. We posted on our social. My little man had a picture with him just a couple of days ago. And just such a great guy. I mean, such a great guy for our program. A lot of energy, whether it's basketball, whether it's football. You name it, this guy was the ambassador of our program. All of our coaches are. If you watch them, I mean, they all support each other. And just watching that for our university is big time. And so he's going to be missed. Hard to replace him, but I know we're going to find another great coach that's going to lead our program. But we miss him and wish him nothing but the best. You know, we're playing Kentucky, big night tonight, 7:45. So when y'all are done, we're on the balls. Hopefully get back on track with a big win. Then we're coming back next home game, Oklahoma in the house. Hopefully hoping for a night game. Make sure you like our channels. A lot of you guys love the posts, love the pictures. We're giving away 2 tickets, parking pass, autographs, you name it, we've got it covered. All you got to do is like, share, and follow. And we'll do that next week sometime before the game. And that is our 60-second. Oh, and don't forget our men and our women basketball live back in action. I believe we got an exhibition game today versus Duke. So a lot of things are heating up. So make sure you go out and support our Vols. Go Big Orange. All right, so much going on in the news. Back into the housing market. Wanted to talk about that a little bit as we were carrying on. That being said, going into the housing market, as I was saying, that it goes in cycles. The real estate housing market is always in cycles. Good, bad, or indifferent. You know, the housing market, that's why we say buying or selling a home could be one of the most stressful things you can do. Because why? It's never predictable. You know, it's always something going on. And I think as the housing market changes, encouraging having great support. You know, if you're currently on the market now and you have your home on the market, we're going to talk about this segment a little bit about what we can do to improve showings, right? What can we do to go under contract and things that may be challenging while your home is not selling. So I thought that would be a very helpful topic on the second half. That being said, in the housing market as a buyer, make sure we're going in and covering some items there. We're going to talk about as a buyer, some things that you need to make sure that when you find that right house, that right property, or investment property, you're prepared in the right position to do that. When to reduce your house price. Everybody in the housing market, I can't tell you thousands of appointments I went on, and we have sellers, and maybe they've come from a different agent, didn't sell. And the biggest feedback we had, so Ryan, all they said was just reduce my price, reduce my price, reduce my price. It's an easy answer, right? But that's not always the right answer. In today's housing market, it really starts with presentation marketing, right? Marketing is key. Without the right exposure, reducing the price won't matter. You don't have enough eyeballs on it. Doesn't have enough views. Doesn't have enough opportunities. So number one factor, hire a team that's going to make sure you have the right marketing to get the right buyers. One of our great sellers that they hired us, and one of the things that drew them to us was our out-of-state marketing, able to reach across the U.S., right? Reaching buyers to, out-of-state buyers totally different from a local buyer in the local market there. So the local market, you've got average days on market. Out-of-state buyers, they're making decisions quickly, and they're moving quickly. And so a lot of times some of our out-of-state buyers not even coming in town. So making sure that marketing reaches that audience. But what if you have great marketing? It's been on the market, had some showings. Is there a price reduction in mind? A lot of times when the house is listed, consultations with the agents, putting a price on the market, a lot of times that's a tough conversation. Been there 10 or 15 years. Price, everything today, affordability is big, right? Everything's so expensive. I need to get as much as I can out of the property. Just makes sense. And we would want you to do that. There's the balance in this market, though, from suggesting a list price to a sales price. And sometimes in today's market, overpricing the property. I know you've heard this before. We could always start here, but we can go down, right? But in today's market, you have to know the seasons where you're at. If you're in the fall or winter season, the pricing has to be more aggressive than it is during the spring. There's less buyers, there's less eyeballs, there's a greater opportunity, but it has to be priced appropriately. So do a checkup. If your home's on the market, make sure, is price one of the issues that you're dealing with? And make sure that the price is competitive and compelling. That old saying, if it's not compelling, it ain't selling. Well, one of those reasons, there's a reason we're not having the market, an offer. In the marketplace today, the market is worth what home's worth what a buyer and a seller are willing to pay. And so important to understand that. And our job is to get people through the front door and have more opportunities. If you're not receiving offers, one of the most important things is look around in your area. Look at pendings. Look at other home sales if they're pending. And do a comparison approach. You know, if you're in the 800 to 850 range and there's something that's pending at 750 and is maybe superior in quality, upgrades, larger square footage, that may be a sign that we may be priced a little bit too high in the marketplace. What if you're getting showings but low or no offer? If people are touring your home and they're coming in with offers slightly below your asking price, could it be a sign that you're off the mark a little bit? Or if they're coming in way below asking, is it likely a sign that your home is desirable but not competitive with the other homes that are for sale? And when we have a market that's turning quickly, these are things that you want to stay on top of. And it's very important that you get with your agent. Having feedback is crucial in communication. The home has been over the market a month. Well, don't worry about if it's been over a month, but in the average, going on 2 months on the market in the Knoxville housing market, if we're not getting activity, it's time to make some corrections. So keep that in mind. Be open-minded, I would say, that if there's changes there, you need to make that. Feedback is key. I can't tell you that one of the biggest thing is buyer feedback, good or bad. One of the things that's important that we really work hard and our team does is getting good feedback. Without the feedback, we can't make changes. Just like halftime, going to the game, we're down a couple scores. We've got to make changes to the game plan, to our marketing plan. That's so important. So there's just some tips if you're housing the market. Be patient. Know it comes in seasons, and know that the market could change on a dime. We're expecting to get stronger showings. Hope you guys have an amazing weekend, and we'll see you back next weekend.